We are now in Extinction Agenda Part 3. This is X Factor Issue 60. And damn, I'm so sad that in terms of the single issues, I don't have the entire Extinction Agenda. So next time I go hunting through my local comic shop, I'm definitely going to have to pick this up because this was an awesome issue. In the land of Genosha, brother battles brother. Brotherhood is written by Louise Simonson, Jon Bogdanove, Danov. I always have trouble pronouncing his name. He's the pencil. Al Milgrom's doing the inks. Joe Rosen letter. Glynis Oliver colorist. Bob Harris editor, and Tom DeFalco editor in chief. All-star cast on this book, guys, and I love the way this opens. So real quick, a while back, probably 2 years now, we went over the the part 2 of the Extinction Agenda, which was New Mutants 95, which is the death of Warlock. So the playlist that I have, I'll make sure to put these in order. So that's why we're kind of doing 3, because I've already done 2 a while back. Now keep Warlock's death in mind, and Rain ends up being captive by Hodge. This room is a gleaming rat's warren, a broadening spider's web of wire, dotted by screens which project a single image. The mutants who are captured will be executed as terrorists against the Genoshan state. One has already died. An image reflected in the cracked glasses behind which eyes, mad and all too human, glitter fanatically. An image that now enters the room, almost redundantly, in the flesh. You saw my announcement, Commander Hodge. What do you think? And this is such an insane scene. I mean, we get Hodge here in the foreground, and you're thinking, he's dead. And a lot has happened with Cameron Hodge. If you're not familiar with him, let's put a pin in this real quick and kind of do a little anecdote. Early X Factor. Cameron Hodge was sort of like the friend of Warren Worthington III, who really secretly hated mutants. He's the one that created the Right, which were the robots that took the life of Doug's Ramsey when he tried to save Rain. And he was brought back by the demons of Limbo, and I believe it was Inferno. I'm not 100% sure. And he was also the one that essentially pushed when Warren got his wings damaged during the Mutant Massacre. He was the one that essentially pushed for them to be amputated, leading Warren into the depression that led him into being. So a lot of history here with Cameron Hodge, just so you guys know. And I don't know if she's like the prime minister or what exactly she is of Genosha, like Madame President, I guess. Yeah, right here. Madame President, may I congratulate you. It was a tour de force, a bravura performance. If I pronounce that wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. His mechanical body is monstrous, disgusting. Surely even that madman can't think that cardboard cutout draped around that neck of his fools anyone. And yet, you were responsible for the death of the mutant called Warlock. And you just see how mad Cameron Hodge has become. Not really human anymore. And now remember, this is like, what do you call it? Early 90s, coming out of the 80s. So this Madame President, I think we all get the hint there. So just a little interesting there. So the whole subtle, I guess you can't really say subtle context there, it's just interesting, and it doesn't insist upon itself. Either you get it or you don't. Anyway, moving on. A death for which we Genoshans must now assume the blame, or perhaps credit, as you yourself have shrewdly realized. A pity, dear madame, that Warlock did not survive my attempt at translation. But is it for the best? Is it not? And it's just weird how I don't remember how he came to Genosha, because we went over the prelude. There was no way of him being introduced. So if you guys kind of know that chronology, let me know. But here's the Gingineer. I thought I'd find you here, cocooned with that thing, discussing international policies with this interloper. Warlock's death was accidental, and the 3 of our captives have already escaped. You knew this, and yet, by this announcement, you called the world's wrath upon our heads. Our parliament has agreed upon this course of action in answer to the mutants' insolence. Our object lesson has begun. This is no time to discuss your objections, nor is it within your purview as Gingineer to condemn our decision. And regarding Hodge, she says, monster or not, we need him, Gingineer, as much as he needs us. The mutants are in the Citadel, and they'll soon be recaptured. Think, Gingineer, how long do you imagine that we can keep the base of Genosha's prosperity secret from the world? And you feel the tension rising and rising. And even Cameron Hodge here. What does he say? He says, where is it? He's hearing the argument, obviously. And I just love how he's just standing there and not really knowing what he's thinking, what he's feeling. And he thinks, though, in the end, we each planned each other's destruction. A delightful woman, a perfect ally. So be it. And he's saying, Genosha is underestimated the X-Men. He's already gone up against them. He's like, the world will know of their brutal and disastrous attack upon a sovereign state, and will fear and reject them. So the world will be exterminated, and I will see done to Archangel, to all of them, even worse than what was done. Whew, that is some damn good writing. That's like the level that I miss in terms of comic book writing, because you can feel Cameron Hodge's insidiousness going on. Now, the U.S. government does not want to get involved. They don't want to essentially start World War III. And so Valerie asks everyone to come to Washington to discuss. And where is it? She says, Dr. Valerie Cooper, Presidential Assistant for Mutant Affairs. Thank you, Cyclops, for your prompt response in the face of delicate international situation we now face. I regret that we can't meet more openly, but the president has a secret proposition for your ears. Now, one thing that I like about Bogdanove, we're just call him B, because I can never pronounce his name. One thing I love about B's penciling is if you look at the talking heads of the reporters and stuff, it's very much a Frank Miller style, something like you would see in The Dark Knight. Contrast to what we see here with the monsters and the villains. They very much have that what's the word I'm looking for? I haven't had enough coffee today, guys. Essentially, how the villains always kind of have that elongated look about them, while the heroes are more clean and refined. And these guys just kind of looking like your weird hodgepodge, because the news and whatnot supposed to be biased, is not. So they kind of have this weird look. Now, what's going on here? We'll find out in a minute. And you can see Sam. At this point, Cable is not. Well, yeah, Cable's in the midst. But when he's not around, Sam's the leader. Keep staring at that screen, Berto. Like maybe it'll tell you something you don't know. And meanwhile, Warlock's dead, gone. And I can't believe we'll never see him again. Have him calling us self-friends, make us laugh. Listen, Sam, I've been thinking, just because they say Warlock's dead doesn't mean it's true. We thought the X-Men were dead too, remember? And it was only a hoax. And we thought Doug was dead, and he stayed dead. We weren't there on the surface with him. He could have done something. We could have helped. At least this way we're free, laddie. We have a plan. We're going to get your friend back. And you can see how the weight of command has forced Sam to grow up from the, what's the word I'm looking for? From the young boy that was afraid to even make a sharp turn, how much Cable has trained him since. And that's why a lot of us love Cannonball, because we essentially grew up with the man. But listen to this. This is what rips my heart, is they're all watching reports of what Genosha is doing, reports of the mutants' family. So this is Tabitha, Boom Boom's father. And now an exclusive interview with the father of the mutant known as Boom Boom. She ran away from me, that little tramp. Yeah, sure, I knew she was with X Factor. What did I care where she ended up? She's street trash. A little plead. She's been bad news since the day she was born. You ask me, getting kidnapped like that, she's getting what she deserves. I hear them Genoshaners pretty much strict with their mutants. Maybe they can knock some respect into her. Madonna, that inhuman monster. Boom Boom's his daughter, his own flesh and blood. Say such things about her. I thought my own father was bad. Boom Boom did always kind of resent that she didn't get more media coverage. And she does like to be the center of attention. But not like that, Sam. It's just a nice, quiet moment. Kind of give you a minute to breathe with everything that's about to gear up. See how hurt these kids who came to Xavier's to learn that are now, for lack of a better word, child soldiers. First for Xavier and now Cable. Val tells them, officially, the U.S. government doesn't deal with terrorist states and has broken off diplomatic relations with Genosha, while it pursues unofficially other avenues that will hopefully lead to the return of the remaining hostages. And what do you think the chances of that are, Ms. Cooper? Frankly, not very good. The Genoshans are adamant in their belief that they're biologically altered humans, what they call mutates, property, and that the X-Men have stolen one of them, which they want back at all costs. You're talking about Jenny Ransom. To them, she's a biotechnology number 9817. That's bull. She's a person, for the love of... You defended her rather effectively against their operatives who attacked your ship. The Genoshans have long memories and longer traits. But why go after kids? In retaliation, they consider you all X-Men. I remember this is all going on about what happened in the prelude that we went over. So why do it publicly? Why create an international incident? That's what we can't figure out. There's an element missing, something we don't yet understand. So now what happens is Val essentially says, we want you to go and attack. But if anything happens, we won't, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll deny all responsibility and you will be on. So in a sense, it is like a suicide mission. And as we're leaving, we kind of get some quiet moments. We see Scott saying goodbye to Nathan, which is really weird because Nathan, I'm just saying. And one thing that I will say about Bobby, I miss Opal. I don't know what it is about her, but I've seen Bobby date other women. And it always seemed like Opal, he loved the women that he was with. And the one relationship that really kind of hurt that it didn't last because he hurt was Kitty. And that was an Astonishing X-Men, I believe. They made it a good power couple. But Opal always had a way of grounding Bobby. Remember, he's always kind of harebrained. She always found a way to get to the core and find the real Bobby Drake. So I miss Opal. I don't know what happened to her. If you guys do, let me know. Now we land upon Genosha, Scott and Cable working together. And at this point, they still don't know that they're related. They just know that this is a man who's now leading the mutants. And as they're on the beach, Scott gets blasted. Get them! Ambush! Let's bust into a few of those cases pronto! And it's just full on freaking war. And Scott says, something felled me, incinerated half my clothing. What weapon could have done that? Something like that. And why am I still alive? He comes to find out that the leader of the Magistrates is Havok. Listen to me, Alex. I'm Scott. I'm your brother. My brother. A mutant terrorist. Don't make me laugh. You're fighting on the side of the fascists, who are the antithesis of all we stand for. Whack. Why, Alex? Why? Don't you know who you are? Why won't you remember? I know who I am. I'm a magistrate, a Genoshan. You're Genosha's enemy. And that makes you my enemy too. You always were too stubborn for your own good. Listen to me, butthead. Try to think. Your plasma blasts don't hurt me, and my optic blasts don't hurt you. We just make each other stronger. Why do you think that is? Answer me, bright boy. Why? Want me to tell you? It's because you're my stupid brother, and we're genetically immune to each other's powers. Lies, mutant lies. You're a mutant with enormous power, and all you can think to do is hammer me with your fists. It's the only thing I can think of to pound some sense into that thick head of yours. It worked when you were little. Grabs his ears, and it'll work now. Thunk. Even if I have to crack your skull to force the truth into it. Why does this seem all so familiar? And I like how there's this moment of clarity. What do you say be true? And then just that subtle change just makes the whole panels work. No, it's impossible. I was born here, remember, don't I? No, you won't trick me like this. Pipeline, get us out of here. And it's enough to shake Havok. This book was excellent, guys. And as the book comes to an end, we kind of follow up with what happened with Rain, Storm, Richter. I can see why this series, this event, is one of those cornerstones of X-Men history on. That's why I'm saying I want to get the as much as I enjoy going over the trade with y'all, I am a floppy chaser. I know that sounds completely wrong, but I love having the individual issues. This is definitely one of those that I want in my collection. The artwork's awesome. Louise Simonson knew how to write the X-Men. Her freaking Ann Nasanti. Now, even though, from what I understand, John Byrne never really wrote an issue of X-Men, but he helped plot with Chris Claremont, and that's why Alpha Flight was so fracking good. They all just knew how to make each other so good, and that's why these books for so long were the top #1 sellers at Marvel, like 500,000+ copies sold, because it was consistent. And that's why I gush like crazy over the X-Men. That's why it's been a long-time favorite of mine. What do y'all think? Did you enjoy what you have seen? If you have, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you like to get your action figures and comics, and either grab the collected trade or the individual floppies, or like what I'm doing right now, go support your local library. If they don't have it in stock, check their computer terminal, and they can hopefully, this what they did for me is the branch that I have was out of stock, but you're able to search the other branches, and I said, please put my order in, and they delivered it to the library, so next time I went, it was there. So you have that option. X Factor issue 60. If you guys enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I'd love to talk with you and hear your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.